everybody and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I wanted to do something that I saw another YouTuber do, and that was bookish things that I want to leave in 2024. So the original video that I saw doing this was Belle Teresa, I think her name is. Don't know how fully know how to pronounce her last name, if I'm being completely honest. I'm probably butchering it, but I will put her video here and also link it down in the description. But I originally saw her do this video and it was something that I wanted to do because there are some bookish habits that I want to leave in 2024, and also some bookish things that the book community does that I also wish we could leave in 2024. So I've compiled a list of 10 things that I personally want to leave in this year, and I thought I would share them all with you. So the first two kind of interconnect with each other. So like the first one I have is seeing reading as a competition. Now this is something that I know a lot of people do, and it's something that I do a lot of the time as well. When I see like people reading like 100 to 150 books a year, I'm like, am I not a proper reader? Because I'm not reading as many books. Like in the last couple of years I have read a lot more than I had done in previous years, but most years I was reading between like 20 to 25 books a year. And that is still a really good amount, and I think anyone who reads even just 1 or 2 books a year should be proud, because reading is fun and it's something enjoyable that we can all do. But a lot of the time I would view reading as a competition between people, because obviously a lot of people on social media read a lot of books like in a month. Like some months I will only read 1 or 2 books if I'm really just like not in the mood to read anything, but then I'll see people reading like 11 to like 15 books a month, and I'm like, am I not reading enough? Am I doing something wrong? And I want to get out the mindset of reading like seeing reading as a competition between people, because it's not. If you're reading something and you're enjoying it, then that's good enough. Even if you just read 1 book a month, or even if you just read half a book in a month, if you're doing it because you love it, then that's great. Which kind of leads on to my next one, which is comparing reading speeds. Now, I, as a person, am generally a very slow reader. I have only been able to get a bit faster this year because I've started using audiobooks. I listen to the audiobook and follow along in the physical because it helps me read the book faster and also process the information faster. Because I find that if I just read the book physically, I read a lot slower and it takes me a lot longer to finish a book. For example, I'm reading the Throne of Glass series right now, and I'm reading it with audiobooks, but I know if I had read that series without audiobooks, I would not be on the like last 3 books of the series. I would still probably be on book 1 or 2. So I found something that makes me read a bit faster, and I enjoy that because it means I can read more books. But I compare reading speeds a lot with other people, which also leads on to, which is kind of why it's with the first one of like people reading more books, but everyone reads at different paces. Some people can read like 100 pages in an hour. Some people can only read like 30 pages in an hour. It just depends on your reading speed and how quickly you digest the information, and everyone's different in what they do with that. So that is something that I really want to like try and leave in 2024. I want to stop seeing reading as a competition and comparing my reading speed to other people, because we're all different and we all read at different paces. Okay, number 3 is one that I definitely need to start doing because I have wasted so much money doing this. I need to stop buying every single book in a series before I've even read the first one. So this has bitten me in the arse a few times because I buy the entire series and then I either never read it, I read the first book and don't enjoy it, or I just like I'll read the whole series because I own it, but then I'm like, why did I read this? Because I didn't enjoy it. One that I bought and never read and just got rid of it, and I bought the entire series, was a prime example of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I bought the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the Six of Crows duology, and then I think it's the Rule of Wolves or King of Scars duology. They're all part of the same universe, and I bought that entire series because TikTok told me it was great. But then I realised I have no interest in reading those books, and I never would have had any interest in reading them because they're not my kind of books. So I ended up selling them for not even half the amount that I paid for them. So in the end, I ended up losing money. And that's not great. Another one that's a good example is the If Love series by Anna Huang. I did enjoy that series, don't get me wrong, but it's not my favourite book series. And I think that I kind of forced myself through it because I was like, I own the books, I need to read them. And like I read them, and yeah, I did enjoy the books, and I gave them all like no, I didn't give any of them lower than a 4-star, but it's still not my favorite series. And I think if I hadn't bought the entire series, I wouldn't have forced my way through it, if that makes sense. Another one that I bought all of them and didn't read them was the Alice Oseman books. I bought all of the books because I love the Heartstopper series. But every time I read the blurbs of her other books, I wasn't really interested in them. So I ended up selling them, and I didn't even get half the money back that I'd paid. So it's kind of like a thing where like it has worked out for me sometimes when I've ended up loving the series, but other times I've not. So a good example of one where I have enjoyed the series is the Chestnut Springs series. I bought the entire series before I'd even read book 1. I'm just lucky that I ended up loving those books. But I need to, in the new year, I need to just buy the first like book or the first 2 books. And if I enjoy them, then great. And I buy the rest of them. If not, then I need to just not have all the books in my house, because then like I feel like I have to read them, or I end up having to sell them and I just lose out on money, and I don't not have a lot of money because I'm a broke bitch. But anyway. Okay, the next one is more probably a me thing than other people, but some other people probably do feel like this as well. Feeling pressured to read every single day. And I think that's because I see a lot of people in the book community like do this. They read every single day, and they read loads every day, which probably kind of goes in with my first 2 as well, to be honest. But some days I just genuinely don't want to read, and it's not because I'm not enjoying the book I'm reading. It's because I just don't want to read. There's other things I want to do. I have other hobbies. Sometimes I just want to sit on a call and talk to my friends. Sometimes I want to play games online on Roblox with my friends, because yes, I play video games as well. I want to buy myself a PlayStation again because I sold mine a while ago and I regret that. And I also want to buy myself a Switch again because I enjoyed using that as well, and I love gaming. And it's something that I have lost out on as a hobby because I stopped doing it as much because I was putting so much pressure into reading more. So I don't want to have to read every single day, and I want to be able to take days where I take a break. Like, yes, would I love it if I had the motivation to read every single day? Yes. But some days I don't want to pick up a book, and that is perfectly fine. Some days I just want to sit in my bed and binge a TV show, because I've got loads of TV shows in my comfort. I've got loads of shows that I binge watch all the time. I'm currently in the middle of watching the entire Chicago universe. I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls. I'm rewatching Pretty Little Liars with my mom, and I'm also rewatching Liv and Maddie, which is a comfort show from Disney. So I want to, and this is something that I think a lot of people do as well, but this is something I know I definitely do. Stop putting pressure on yourself to read every single day, because if you're forcing yourself to read, you're not going to enjoy the books that you're reading as much as if you just read when you're in the mood to read and when you know you're actually in the proper mindset to read a book. Okay, so number 5 on this list is not one that I personally do, but it's something that I've seen online that really annoys me. I want people to stop having the mentality that listening to audiobooks is not classed as reading, because it is. Because you wouldn't say that to a person who's blind. You wouldn't say to a blind person, oh, because you're listening to audiobooks and you're not physically reading it, you're not actually reading, because they are still reading. They physically can't read words on a page, so they have to listen to audiobooks to be able to consume the media they're interested in. So why is it okay to say to people who just listen to audiobooks because they genuinely enjoy them that audiobooks is not classed as reading? Because it is. If you are consuming that media, then you are reading that book. And this is a mindset that people really need to get out of, because it's ridiculous. I personally am a massive audiobook reader. I've only got into audiobooks within the last year, but I'm obsessed with them now, and I read my books with audiobooks all the time. I'm a person who, yes, does read along in the physical as I read the audiobook, but I don't always do that. I travelled to my friend Em's quite recently for a weekend, and on the journey there, I can't read a physical book while I travel because I get travel sickness. So I listened to the entirety of Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage on the train. And then I listened to the first half of Powerless by Elsie Silver on my train journey to her house. And then I ended up reading the rest of Powerless when I was there. And I started Promise Me Not by Megan Brandy. And I ended up reading 3 books that weekend because I was listening to audiobooks. And I still got to read on my journey. Normally I would not have been able to do that because my travel sickness is so bad that I would not have been able to read anything, and I would have just been sat there listening to music, which, yes, I love listening to music, but I felt more productive reading my audiobooks. So people need to get out of the mentality that listening to audiobooks is not reading, because it is. And I'm happy that I discovered audiobooks this year because they are some of my favourite ways to read now, especially if I'm like reading along in the physical version. A lot of people don't do this. I just personally like to do this because, like I said earlier, I read a lot faster when I listen to the audiobook. I get more immersed in the book when I'm listening to it. I love, especially with fantasy books, listening to the audiobook as I read it, because I feel like I'm more engrossed in the world and I'm more there with it, and I don't struggle as much understanding the like how the world is set out, whereas before I was kind of struggling. And this is the way I have read a lot more fantasy this year, because now fantasy is one of my favourite genres. So yeah, people need to back off the mindset that audiobooks are not reading, because they are, and they are some of the best ways to read a book now, in my opinion. Okay, the next one is one that has kind of changed the way I'm seeing social media, and one that I'm changing a lot of my platform with. Book talk toxicity. So over the last year, I have noticed that the book talk community can be quite toxic, and that is where I got a lot of the things of comparing reading speeds, and also people saying audiobooks aren't proper reading and things like that. And that has helped me come to the decision that I want to step back from doing TikTok as much. I'm fully invested in my YouTube. YouTube is my main platform now. It's what I enjoy the most. I'm still going to post on my TikTok because that is what got me started on social media, and I still do enjoy it. But I'm not going to put as much time into a platform that doesn't bring me joy as much as this one does. And I found that a lot of people on Book Talk can be quite toxic. And on there, a lot more people seem to judge everyone for what they read. And it seems to push the mindset of certain books need to be read for you to be a proper reader, which honestly kind of takes me on to my next point, point number 7, which is honest book reviews on hyped books. I have been burned by overhyped books so many times. So when I first started reading, which you will notice on my very first video on my channel that I did, which I reacted to recently, I said I bought a lot of those books because Book Talk told me to. And I realised now that I do not enjoy a lot of Book Talk books. I enjoy some of them, don't get me wrong. I love some of them. The Chestnut Spring series is a Book Talk book series. The Off Campus and Briar U, ACOTAR, Boys Atonement, yes, they are kind of, I guess you would say, Book Talk book series. But I didn't find all of those series because of Book Talk. Yes, some of them I did, but Boys of Tommen, for example, I found that series through my friends. And I read that series because of my friends Carly and Geordie, because they adore that series and they inspired me to read it because it's one of their favourites, and I wanted to read something they enjoyed. And it's now one of my favourite series. And I've also found a lot that on TikTok people give reviews of books and they hype them up a lot, but then in reality they don't actually really like those books, and they're just hyping them up because they want to get more views on TikTok, and they're what's popular at the time. And I just don't want to read that, because if you're not actually going to be honest about how you feel about a book, then I'm not going to take your opinion on it. I am completely honest with every book that I review, because I do not want to give a false review of a book and then like someone goes and reads it and they're like, oh, why was I given this as a recommendation, and it's absolute trash. Like if I give it a like recommendation of a book that I genuinely loved, and then they've gone and read it and they don't like it, fair enough. That is fair enough, because everyone has different reading tastes. But I don't want to go off give someone a fake review of saying I loved a book, when in reality, if it wasn't hyped, I wouldn't have given it a 5-star. I would have probably given it like a 2 or a 3-star. So I want people to be more honest with their reviews, especially on social media. Because if you're someone who's influential on social media and you want to give good book recommendations, you need to be honest about the books that you love and the books you don't love, because everyone's reading taste is different and no one's going to love the exact same books. Like, yes, I do tend to love a lot of the books that are recommended to me by my friends, but that's because they have very similar reading tastes to me. And there's some books that they've read that I like, some books I've read that I've liked and they don't like, or there's books that they've read that I don't like, and that's perfectly fine, because we're all different with our own opinions. Okay, so I've got 3 more left. So the next one is hating on people for their favourite books or / book genres. So I know Colleen Hoover and J.K. Rowling are very controversial authors. I'm not denying that they are controversial, and I do not support their views. I am not of the same viewpoint as them as people. But just because a person likes the books that they write does not mean that they have the same worldviews as the author. Like, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I have been since I was a kid. I've said it on my channel many times. I love Harry Potter. I hate J.K. Rowling. And my opinion on the author, my opinion on the creator, and my opinion on the craft are 2 completely different things. I love the Harry Potter series. I love the Harry Potter books. Well, most of them. Order of the Phoenix is trash. That's just my opinion, though. But I do not have the same views as J.K. Rowling. I think she is a despicable human being. And then Colleen Hoover. Like, a lot of people do not support Colleen Hoover because of things she's done in her past and things she said, and a lot of the things she puts in her books. And that's fair enough. I personally enjoy Colleen Hoover books, and I have given every single one that I've read a 5-star. But just because someone has a different opinion than you on a book, and they like a book by an author who you personally don't agree with, doesn't mean that that person who's reading that book agrees with the author's worldviews. It just means they enjoy the book, and that is okay to enjoy a book like that. Like, I can probably get some hate for what I've said about, like, you can still read the books from an author even if they're controversial, but you don't have to support that person. If you don't want to buy the books physically, fair enough. You don't have to. You can read the books online. You can borrow them from your library. You could get them secondhand off Vinted or from a charity shop or wherever you live, whatever secondhand businesses you have, you can go and get the books from there. If you do not want to physically support the author, you do not have to promote their books, or you don't have to post about their books on social media, or you don't have to buy the books brand new so you're not paying towards them. Like, you can still enjoy a book by someone who you don't agree with on how they view the world, and that doesn't make you a bad person, because yes, I have enjoyed books by controversial authors, but that does not mean I agree with how they see things. I have my own opinions, and just because I like their books does not mean I like them. I'm going to move on from the topic now because people are probably going to hate on me, but that's fine, whatever. I don't really care if you hate on me because it's my opinion and I'm valid to it. Okay. The next one is, this one is something that really annoys me and it's ruined some books for me. People not putting spoiler warnings on their like TikTok videos and stuff, especially if they're using an audio from like an audiobook of the book that they're talking about in the video, because the amount of times I have had major plots in books ruined for me because people haven't put spoiler warnings on their videos. Like, And it's really infuriating. It's really not that hard to just put a little thing at the top of your video saying contains spoiler warnings for blah blah book. It's really not. It's not going to ruin your video just because you say there's a spoiler warning. It just means the people who do not want to see that spoiler warning can swipe past the video. And like, it's when people don't give spoiler warnings in their like videos that they do on YouTube as well. Like, luckily a lot of people on YouTube don't seem to do that, but it has been done. Like, unless like, if you don't explicitly say this contains spoilers, people are going to assume it doesn't contain spoilers. And like, it really bothers me. Like, it's really not that hard to just put a spoiler warning on your videos saying, hey, spoiler warning. Like, there's a video I posted like a month or so ago about the off-campus series and something that happens in that. Before I started the video, I put a spoiler warning at the start, and I warned my friend who watched my TikTok saying, hey, because you've not read this book yet, do not watch this video because it has a spoiler warning in it. It has a spoiler in it. And it's really not that hard to tell people there's a spoiler, because you're then ruining a book for someone who could have had an amazing experience with it just because you're too lazy to put a 2-second warning at the start of it. And don't say, oh, I put it in the caption or in the hashtags. That's not good enough a lot of the time. Because think about it this way. When you go onto a video on TikTok, how often do you actually look at the caption or the hashtags before you watch the video? And I can guarantee most of you will say never, because no one does, unless you're going to the video to read the caption, which I don't think anyone does. Just put a spoiler warning on your video, okay? It's really not that hard. Okay, so this is my final one. This is number 10. This is something that I personally need to do because I'm trying to be a bit better with my money in the new year. I need to stop buying books every time I get paid. Now, obviously, there's a lot of books I want, but I already own quite a few. So I have a physical TBR spreadsheet where I keep a track of all the books that I own. I currently own 226 books. I'm obviously going to have more by the end of December because I have friends and family who are buying me books for Christmas and my birthday, because my birthday's in December. But I need to stop buying books every time I get paid, because on my physical TBR spreadsheet, I own 226. I have read 125 of them, and I still have 101 of them left to read. And my goal for the new year is to get that down, because having such a large TBR personally does stress me out a little bit, because I feel like I'm just wasting money, and I don't need to do that because I don't have a lot of money as it is. So a goal I want to set for myself in the new year is not buying books every time I get paid. Now, I tend to just do this because I just like buying myself books, and there's no harm in that, because there's a lot worse things that I could be spending my money on. I'm also just, in a sense, wasting my money by not, like, doing it that way, if that makes sense. Like, I'm wasting money by just buying books every payday that I'm not reading because I'm not giving myself the time to read. So I want to like do like a goal in the new year that for every 10 or so books that I read or something like that, I'll like buy one new book. Or there's something that Em did this year, because she wanted to get her physical TBR down and like up her percentage of what she'd read. This is something that she did this year, and I honestly think I might do it, is she read, like, got down to like a certain number of books on her physical TBR that were left, and then once she got down to that number, she was allowed to buy herself a couple of books, but she couldn't go over a certain amount. So say, for example, she had like 65 books on her physical TBR, she would get herself down to like 58. And then she would let herself buy 2 books, but she wouldn't let herself go over like 60 books anymore, because then she doesn't have any more than 60 books on her physical TBR. And that's something I kind of want to do in the new year, just so I can keep my physical TBR down. I'm not spending as much money on books, and I'm also just actually getting through the books I own, because there's so many books on my shelves I'm so excited to read that I just really want to focus on them before I go out and buy more books. Obviously, there are some books I do want to get in the new year that are like new releases that I haven't had a chance to get yet, and those don't really count in my opinion. For example, I want to get Sky Shade, which is the third book in the Lightlark series, and that's because it's a series I'm in the middle of and I want to continue it. But like, for example, the Campus Diaries series by Al Kennedy. I've not read The Graham Effect or The Dixon Rule, but I own both of them, and I know the third book in the series is either out or comes out soon. I need to stop myself from buying it before I've even read the first 2 books in that series, because even though I want to, I don't need to yet. But yeah, that is every book thing / habit that I want to leave in 2024. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it got a little bit intense in some places. Honestly, some of the topics I talked about in here I'm very passionate about, because if you couldn't tell, books are my life at this point. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you know when I upload. I am currently in the middle of doing Bookmas. I am posting every two days in December up until, from the 2nd of December up until the 24th. And I'm honestly really enjoying filming the videos for it. So I hope you guys are enjoying Bookmas. And if you're seeing this after Christmas, I hope you had a lovely Christmas. And I will catch you guys next time.